Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show.
Rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airwaves and strap in as we
defend the Constitution, because freedom matters.
Broadcasting live from the Kaida studio. Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show. And as always, I'm your host, Ho-Ho. So how y'all's doing? I hope you're doing good. I really do. So man, I tell you what, it's been an interesting week in the news, you know, and we've got some stuff to talk about. And we are actually just going to go ahead and dive right into it. I don't have anything, you know, my typical show of funny satire, but we're going to start off with this one here in just the news headline. Let me go ahead and pull that one up. Whistleblower accuses DCHQ of trampling the Constitution. That's the headline. That's where we're starting off, talking about the FBI. And I, two FBIs, actually, headline starts off with that one. And this is something that, for a while, several years actually, has been very obvious, very prominent, because you have one set of rules for the Democrats and you have another set of rules for conservatives, Republicans, libertarians, what have you. That's what you have. You have one side that is bound by the law and another side that, well, they can basically do whatever they want. You know, and they try to say otherwise, but it's just not how the practice is going. That's not how things have actually been going on. You've got Hillary Clinton. You've got a general that was doing an autobiography and went to prison, violating, you know, classified ads, revealing classified information. You got, Trump versus Biden and, two separate rules for how they have been conducting. Now, I'm not going to say that with the FBI, you're talking everybody's bad. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, every one of the agents is bad and political bias going on in there. But when you're talking the top, when you're talking the decision makers, when you're talking the people that are actually in charge of what's going on, that's where the biases are. That's where the clear distinction of how they handle things based off of the political affiliation of the people they're talking about. But it gets worse. And by the way, I do want to apologize right off the bat because I still have a cough. Very annoying. And so, but you know what? We're going to make it through it, though. We're going to make it through it. This headline from Fox News. The FBI has found a gateway to declare Christians as criminals, says these federal whistleblowers. And that to me is pretty stinking disturbing. You know, they wanted to classify even Catholics as criminals, as terrorists. And they received so much backlash on that one that the FBI suffers fresh bias because of a memo that was leaked. And right afterwards, like the next day or the same day, I don't remember exactly when that happened, but I do remember it. They rolled that sucker back because the backlash was so stinking bad. I got to take a quick drink. The backlash was that bad. Now, the funny thing is, you know, with the whole, you know, calling Catholics extremists and Christians extremists and terrorists and whatnot, you know, here's more or less what it boils down to, okay? Yes, we have the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, not from speech, the freedom of speech. Freedom of press, freedom to peaceably assemble, freedom of religion. But here's the thing. The government, more specifically, those on the left, okay, they want your religion to be a religion of government. They find Christians, Catholics, people whom are Jews, people whom are even Muslim, you know, people with extreme views. Excuse me. Let me go ahead and do a cough drop right quick. People with extreme views. Now, I don't mean, you know, like actual terrorists. I'm just talking people with extreme views. And what I mean by that is simple. A view that is what it is. You're not going to change based off of your belief. You know, you're not going to do that. You know, you have an extreme view. Your belief is rooted in something that is so fundamental that it is rock solid. That's what I mean by an extreme view. I don't mean extremists, terrorists. I'm not talking that. I'm talking somebody with an extreme view. Because when you have an extreme view, then your views are not subject to the sway of politics. Good grief. You know, you look at Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton. You know, you look at Joe Biden. Their views over the years with different things has shifted based off of the politics of the time, based off of what was politically expedient for them to do at the time. It wasn't because their beliefs were actually one way or the other. It is just because that's what was politically best, what was going to get them the most votes. You see, the fact of the matter is, they want your religion to be the religion of government. That's truly what they want. You know, they're wanting the religion of government. They want you to be, you know, have your faith in them, not in something else. I mean, that's truth be told, that's what it amounts to. Which, I mean, is an extreme type of, you know, way to look at it, you know, as well. It really is, you know. So moving on. we're going to slide into a different topic altogether. Still dealing with the FBI in some way, shape, or form. And things on this has really gone, a lot of things has been coming to light. There's been a lot of fights on this as far as information that they're trying to get. Again, I apologize for the coughing. I'm muting it, so that's awesome. But this headline from the Washington Free Beacon. Do I want to start on this one? No, I don't. Let's see. Yeah, let's start off with this one. This headline is from Just the News. JustNews.com. Headline: Hunter Biden's legal team rejects GOP House Oversight Panel requests for bank communication records. Good grief, again. Coughing, this is driving me nuts. I did take some stuff to, try to stop this, but apparently it hasn't really worked. But the legal team rejects the House Oversight Panel requests for bank communication records. And there's a reason why they did this. And this is one of the things that has come out over the past, several weeks, really. But, originally, good grief. This is annoying. I'm telling you, this is annoying. So, as the digging into Hunter Biden's laptop has continued, looking at emails, looking at as many bank records as they can, looking at policies, looking at meetings, not just with Hunter Biden, but also with Joe Biden and other Biden family members. They've been seeing a lot of things going on. The more they dig, the more they broaden their search and look at different things, people coming in, meetings that were had, all kinds of things, policies that has been done. The more they dig, the more they're like, oh, wow. Wow. Because they're tying a lot of things together. Huge series of events that correspond, and you can only attribute so many things to coincidence before you have a pattern. And what they're noticing is patterns. That's why they were going after these bank records. There's like a lot. I heard a number a while back. There was a number, but okay, let's put it this way. The Federal Reserve, the bank people, okay, the money people, they will investigate, whenever large sums of money changes hand, different, money changing hands, different purchases or whatever, they pay attention to some of this stuff. Okay. You make some kind of a purchase over a certain amount of money or, what have you, they might look into that, they might wonder and question what the heck's going on. Why did this amount of money change hands? All these other kind of things. Okay, they might look into that. Seeing if anything is going on. Seeing if there's anything there. That's what they're looking for. That's what they're looking at. And a lot of these things, because, well, they're restricted on what they can do based off of the Constitution. They can only go so far into it until they, really make some, tie some things together and find out more information. And now you got grounds for a warrant. But there has been a butt ton of questionable transactions that has been done that they have yet been able to investigate, or at least that they haven't investigated, and they, may or may not have actually closed them out, these different investigations. But a lot of questionable money changing hands. A lot. And through the oversight committee, they're like, we want to look into this. We want to see, and at this point, it's not a question of whether Trump. It's not whether, Hunter Biden, the Biden family is corrupt. It's more or less a question of how corrupt are they? How deep does this go? How broad is it? How many people have, how compromised is Biden? That's more or less what the question is. It's not if he is, it's how corrupt. This cough is really getting annoying. Very much. I got my finger sitting here on the mute button. That's how annoying this is. And they've been looking at a lot so far. I mean, like I said, they've been looking at, meetings that Hunter has had and different members of, people that have been close to him and Hunter's business dealings, meetings that Joe has taken, money that has been switching hands, policies that has been written, and whatnot. Several different places that they've been looking at. Not just as president, but as vice president, as senator. This has been going on. They've been researching and looking into the business dealings of the Biden family. And it's just, what they've been finding out and what they've been, uncovering is just, he's been at this for quite some time. It's no secret. We've all known this. But as time has been going on, as they've actually been able to take a look into this, they're really starting to see just how deep the rabbit hole goes. This headline is one of the reasons why we're getting some of the information that we're getting. From Washington Free Beacon. Headline report, Hunter Biden associate cooperating with GOP's investigation into family's business dealings. Apparently, somebody's getting a deal. That's what my thought process is on it. Somebody's getting a deal. I'm going to be taking a break soon. But here is a new development that, I heard about not that long ago. This has actually just been coming out I think within the past week. I heard about it several days ago. But it was in dealing with the laptop. Because at first, Hunter Biden was like, it's not mine. Not my laptop. Tried to deny it. And you all know the happenings of what was going on there, which was quite interesting. A lot of stuff was getting revealed and coming out. But here recently, you have Hunter Biden is now suing the owner of the tech place where the laptop was first left, saying that, oh, he didn't have any right whatsoever to access the laptop. Wait a second. Are you now admitting that the laptop is completely true? I mean, are you validating not only its existence, but its authenticity? And that's more or less what's going on. You know, the more he's fighting back on this now, the more it's like he's proving its authenticity. So now, you know, not like we had any doubt before. I don't want to say that. It's not that there was any question, at least on our end. We already knew. But now the people on the left, the hardcore people that want to, you know, bend over backwards for, you know, everything Biden family, now they can't deny it. Now there is no question. Now it's like, well, crap. Now what are they going to do? You know, it's kind of an aspect of they can't keep their heads buried in the sand anymore. It's got to be frustrating for them, right? You know, can't keep their head in the sand anymore. Now it's like, oh, well, this sucks. You know, yeah. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When I return, we're going to be talking about go woke or go broke. We're going to be talking about the SVB bank, and there has been other banks as well that has been having issues as of recently. We're going to talk a little bit about this, what this means to basically everybody, because yes, this is something that is going to be affecting us all in at least one way, shape, or form. And hello, Dave, over there in Facebook land. Good to see you. He says, sorry, just showing up. My bad. Not a problem, sir. Good to see you over there. So, yes, just a couple minutes and I will be right back. Don't go nowhere. Do you love your occasional Mexican dish or your musical fruit? Are you tired of walking by family members and crop dusting them? Well, if this has ever happened to you, might I introduce you to Tampons brand butt plugs. Tampons brand butt plugs is that particular type of butt plug that allows you to walk in public in confidence knowing that you're not going to accidentally crop dust somebody. Tampons brand butt plugs now with the plastic applicator.
Not just for women anymore.
Tampons brand butt plugs. I thought that was kind of fitting considering the topic we are jumping into now, and yes, we're back. This headline from the Washington Free Beacon. Yeah, I find humor in this. Go woke, go broke. Disney to axe 7,000 jobs as company faces backlash over left-wing agenda. And the sign on here, trans rights or human rights. And yeah, I thought that was kind of hilarious for Tampons brand butt plugs. I thought that was funny. I find humor in it. That's all that counts. Go woke, go broke. Now, you know, now here, okay. Name that movie. Well, maybe. Yeah. So I'm definitely coughing, and it sucks. But yeah, I hate it. I really do. Now, this article actually goes back to like February 9th, I believe, 2023. And so it goes back a little while, you know. And I got to be honest with you, it's about time that those on the right, you know, start voting more with their pocketbooks. And it's pretty apparent when reading this article, looking at this headline, that you're definitely seeing that. You know, you're seeing that, and I'm kind of happy about that. I got to be honest. I very much am. You know, because, you know, I mean, it's an aspect of, you look at what Disney is supposed to represent. You know, supposed to represent innocence. It's supposed to, you know, it's supposed to be something that you can just turn on and not have to worry about the programming that's coming up. And, you know, it's supposed to be safe. But we're finding out, you know, with some of the people whom are in charge of what's goings on, that it's really not, it's not safe. You know, it's not safe the way it used to be when I was a kid. And finally, you know, we're really starting to, you know, I guess you can say put our money where our mouth is and stop supporting these, you know, these companies like this that are going woke. And tying into that, I'm sure that everybody by now has heard about the SVB, the Silicon Valley Bank, and what had happened just this week. Actually, I think it started last week sometime. It's been an issue. To say the least, it's been an issue. It has been said of the SV Bank that this headline from the Daily Signal, if you're woke and go broke, should taxpayers pay your bills? Because that's kind of what's happened on this. That is very much what has happened here, okay? Should the taxpayers have to float the bill for your wokeness whenever people decide that they no longer want your shenanigans? But with SVB, that's not exactly what happened, but that's very much what happened. Because woke was a bigger part of the conversation than anything else. It has been said of the SVB, that, they were the ATM of the DNC. I guess there was a lot of donors that had their money there. There was a lot of shenanigans taking place. People that have worked in that bank said that, they, like, every day was a woke something going on. Okay. Using proper pronouns, meetings on how they're supposed to do this and meetings on how they're supposed to do that. And one of the issues that they had, was, I guess, for like 9 months, I believe is what I heard, they didn't have a risk assessment officer. So they're doing all of these things. They're making all of these investments. They're sending their money out to these various places without assessing the risk to everything that they were doing. Now, here's the interesting part, okay? I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There isn't a bank out there, not one, that actually has the money on hand to cover every single deposit in that bank. Period. There's not one that does. Whether it be local bank, whether it be a big chain bank, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Not a one of them has enough money on hand to cover every single deposit that is there. And as long as everybody thinks there's nothing to worry about, then there's nothing to worry about. But if you think there's something to worry about, then there's something to worry about. If you think a bank is stable, then the bank is good. If you don't, then it's bad. That's more or less how that works because, banks invest. It's what they do. They invest in this, that, and the other, and that's how they grow their money. That's how they help out the people that deposit, and hold money in those banks and have loans through those banks. That's how they're able to do that, is because they invest that money. And you can't invest money and keep the money present at the same time. I don't know if you knew that or not. The point is, whenever you're talking banks, and like I said, this goes with every single one of them. They're all the same. They all do business the same way. As long as you don't think there's a problem, then there's not. But the big problem here was some of the places they were investing their money was in places that they shouldn't have been investing it in. One of which being, at least specifically with the SVB, was a lot of these different, with woke policies, with different companies, because you have the energy sector being destroyed and it's like, oh, we're going to go green and all this other kind of place because that's where the government is hedging its bets. So that's where we're going to hedge our bets. And well, not all of these things paid off. They invested in places that very much it just didn't pay off, and that's more or less what it amounted to. And then you had that tweet, I believe it was from somebody that was like, there's some problems at the SVB right now that, people may want to consider pulling the money out. Now here's the thing though, this is actually where part of the problem is. If there's a lot of people that, let's say smaller amounts of money that are in the bank that decide to, pull their money out and go somewhere else, then it's like, not a big deal. When you're talking large investors, large accounts, larger businesses, what have you, well, if they start pulling out, that's where the issues are. And what ended up happening was there was a run on the bank. Enough people were pulling their money out of the bank and is what the bank had to do in order to cover the people that were pulling their money out. They needed to liquidate assets. They didn't have the assets to cover, and they had assets in places that, you know, like in trust and federal trust, that they couldn't cover it. Okay. Now to the headline, should taxpayers pay your bill? Because this is where the big Bravo Sierra is of what happened. Okay. The FDIC insures your money in any bank up to $250,000. Anything beyond that is not insured. You're not going to get that money back. This goes with anybody that is an FDIC affiliated bank, with a lot of, you know, with banks, with a lot of credit unions, the same way they're FDIC backed. So if something were to happen, your money is still protected federally. This money is paid in by banks and different fees that they have to pay in order to be in this, yada, yada, blah, blah. Okay. I was picking up what I'm throwing down. But what they decided to do, and this is because this is the ATM of the DNC, this is where a lot of people have a lot of their money. You know, they decided not to do that. They were like, we are going to insure and back every single dollar, even beyond $250,000. Now, here's the thing. You know, everybody knows that past $250,000, your money is not secured. And in all honesty, this is like part of the reason why they do, like, you know, shell companies and things of that nature, so that this way they have a separate account that they can still keep more money beyond the $250,000. You know, it's not only a tax thing that they're doing. It's sometimes so that this way they can have that money protected. It's one of the reasons why they do that. So they just said arbitrarily, no law that was passed, no court hearing that was done. They just arbitrarily said that because we like the bank, the people that do business here, we're going to go ahead and reimburse everything. All of it. Even beyond $250,000. Do you think that they would have the same? Do you think they would do the same thing if it was a bank that, let's say the NRA did business with? Do you think they would support and would have done that to a politically right bank? Do you think they would have done that? No. And here's why I call this Bravo Sierra. This is why they call this Bravo Sierra. Because, I mean, one, they say that taxpayers aren't going to have to pay this, and in which case I don't believe it. You know, is this money that is set aside separately, or is this money that is part of the general fund? You know, if it's part of the general fund and they're just going to pull out whatever they need to in order to cover every one of these deposits, and of which case, yes, taxpayers are on the hook for this. If not, then no. But either way you look at it, every single bank across the board is going to be getting fees, more fees applied to them in order to cover that money, because, hey, the government has to recoup that money. That means they're going to be charging steeper fees to every single bank that is affiliated with the FDIC. That means that money is going to have to come from you. I mean, that's how these type of things work. A bigger tax is implied or applied, and then the customer always pays that. So either way you look at it, well, you know, whether it's something that's the general fund and you're going to be taxed for it regardless, or if it's going to be through stiffer penalties, more fees that a bank may charge, less interest rate on the money that you have deposited there, or at least within a certain amount of dollar. Either way you look at it, they're going to get their money somehow. Should every single bank have to cover this whenever? I mean, how many banks are going to benefit from over 250,000 FDIC backed deposits? Not a lot. And I think right now there's like 6. I think I heard 6. 6 banks that has collapsed. Their reasoning is they say that, oh, well, you know, we're trying to keep this from being a cascading effect and affecting many more banks. That's what they're trying to prevent. They're trying to prevent a complete economic crash. Something like what we've not even seen since the Great Depression. Something that I, being as young as I am, never has seen. I wasn't around during the Great Depression. Well, I've heard stories. You know, my grandparents had some weird things that they used to do. Things that's like, doesn't make any sense to us. But when every penny counts, sometimes those are the things you do. Is this the start of a complete economic meltdown? Is this going to spread? At this point, things seem to have balanced out a little bit. You know? But it's still kind of early to tell. I don't know. Biden's been blaming everybody but wokeness because, you know, I mean, and this is kind of the funny thing aspect of it, you know, or I guess you could say a funny part of it. No, I'm tired of this cough. The thing that was more important to these guys, you know, the bank was the wokeness, and you know, he's blaming the bank for the failures and not depositors. Wait, blame Biden spending, not depositors for bank failures. There we go. I read that right. There we go. And that headline is from Washington Examiner. You know, because here's one of the things that happened, you know, because one of the reasons why they lost the kind of money that they did was because of inflation. Their money didn't grow the way they were expecting it to grow because inflation, because so much money was dumped into the economy without people working. Dave put in there, he goes, I'm going to err on the side of yes. How many years of incompetent leaders can our economy take? Yeah, that's a good question. One of many reasons I'm erring on the side of caution. Absolutely. They are pushing for a collapse so they can usher in their communist China-inspired e-money. Exactly. Actually. Exactly. Facebook user said that. It doesn't give me a name. I don't know why it doesn't give me a name here. I believe I know who it is, but it's not giving me a name. But yes, says they're pushing for the collapse so they can usher in. You know, that's the thing, guys, okay? I was going there too. He beat me to it. They knew what was going to happen. Inflation is caused by one place and one place only, government, because only government has the power to directly influence the currency. A business can't do it. A company can't do it. People can't do it. Government, however, can, and that's what they've been doing. Printing money, distributing money that doesn't belong in the economy. That's where inflation came from, and they knew what they were doing before they even did it. I mean, why else at the end of the so-called crisis was they still giving out money? Why? They knew what they were doing. And yes, they're doing this, and this is communism 101. I mean, it really is. This is part of is it in the 10 pillars of communism? I don't quite remember. But it's basically an aspect of overwhelm the system. They're overwhelming the system with people that, with flooding across the border, overwhelming the system with people that are, trying to get money out of a welfare state. They're overrunning the system with the money that they've just been dumping into it, devaluing the currency. And yeah, they're wanting to change to a more crypto type of a currency across the board. They're wanting to get rid of paper money, make the whole thing digital. There you go. Solves a lot of their problems. If there is no paper money, then it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah. See, I'm checking a couple things in here. Yeah, and one of the things that Biden has talked about is tougher penalties for executives of failed banks, because that's, did y'all hear what happened on that one? Because it was like, they just got done having, a party, where bonuses were distributed to, the top executives of the bank. And then it's like, within a few days, the bank crashes. It fails. Everything falls apart. It's like, really? They just got done handing out bonuses to top executives. They just get done having a party, patting themselves on the back on how good of a job they've done. And then the whole house of cards comes crawling down, stumbling down. It crashed. That was like, really? And the only thing you really have to blame is, well, this was definitely a woke type of a thing. But yes, they are doing this stuff on purpose. I hate to say it. I really do. Before you start going, conspiracy theory, yada, yada, blah, blah, let's look at the facts. Do you really think they don't know what they're doing? Ask yourself one simple question. If you were going to collapse an economy, how would you do it? And by the way, some of the things that we're doing to ourselves is some of the things that we did to Russia Cold War time. If you're going to collapse an economy, what would you do? A lot of the things that Biden has been doing, a lot of things that has been getting done, it's interesting. Because that's what you would do if you were trying to collapse an economy. It's what they've been doing. And since I brought up Putin, that's where we are actually going to go to next. On the other side of this break, we're going to be talking about Putin. We're going to be talking about Ukraine. We're going to be talking about what's going on. Poland, North Korea, all kinds of other things. Just a couple minutes, and I'll be right back. Do you love your occasional Mexican dish or your musical fruit? Are you tired of walking by family members and crop dusting them? Well, if this has ever happened to you, might I introduce you to Tampons brand butt plugs. Tampons brand butt plugs is that particular type of butt plug that allows you to walk in public in confidence knowing that you're not going to accidentally crop dust somebody. Tampons brand butt plugs now with the plastic applicator.
Not just for women anymore.
Tampons brand butt plugs. And we are back. And I'm reading a comment from okay, so he puts in here, he goes, it's only a conspiracy theory until it's proven correct, Swiss roll. And yep, that's what he refers to me as. Ho ho, Swiss roll, you know. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And then Dave puts in here, excuse me. This one's a little long. But we're going to read it. He says, I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit in the arena of ideas where I don't subscribe to conspiracy theories. I think it's totally possible that these people are in fact just that stupid. Even with all their degrees and all that they have ended up dumb, then you throw in all the wokeness, and then there's no hope for them because they can't see the forest through the trees. And you know what? I really do. You know, I definitely understand your point. You know, and you're right. You know, I'm sure that there's some of these people that truly are just that dumb. You know. And yeah. You know, I'm going to concede your idea on that one. However, you know, when I'm referring to that type of a thing, it's more or less the decision makers. You know, the people at the top. You know, not necessarily the people that are, you know, like maybe even some of these managers that were involved in it. You know, those people being that stupid, sure. You know, but like the people like at the top. They know what they're doing. You know, I mean, I mean, okay, let's put it this way, like Donald Trump, for instance, okay? His dad, you don't get to that. Elon Musk, same thing, okay? You don't get to that level of wealth without some kind of intelligence, whether it be people, whether it be financial, whether it be, you know, what have you, you know. Difference between Trump and Musk, you know, Musk has the intelligence. Trump knows who to align himself with in order to get things done. You know, a little bit different in dichotomy there. But with a lot of these, you know, with a lot of these really upper people, you know, they know what they're doing. And we know this because, you know, that basically that they've told us, you know, Soros, you know, there's a lot of them out there, you know, and they've basically told us what their plans are, what they're wanting to do. You know, the the big monument that they blew up a while ago. I forget what the thing was called. That was blown up, talking about, the best way to control the population is keep it within a certain number. And, as long as we can do that, we can control them. The type of government that they were prescribing was a socialist type of government where everything for the good of the people was restricted and controlled and distributed, to each, from each by his ability, to each according to his need. It's communism. They knew what they were doing. Now, some of the people that may be in charge of pushing the buttons, absolutely. Some of those people are, I'm sure, just that stupid. Not being able to see the forest through the trees, thinking that in a matter of speaking, thinking that in a matter of speaking that they were doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing for the right reasons. You know what I mean? And those are the Georgia Guidestones. Exactly. You knew what I was talking about. I couldn't remember the name of them, but yeah. But I do. I think in a matter of speaking, yeah, some of the people that are there, yeah, they might be that stupid. But still, they've told us what their plans are, what they want to do for quite some time. The Democrats are notorious for what they call the long game. For making, taking it one step at a time. That's how it seems as though they try to operate. All right, so if we got any more, we'll get into that. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and move on because we are going to be talking about Vladimir Putin. We're going to be talking about what is going on in Ukraine. All right, so where do I want to start with this? Because there's a couple things. There's a couple things on this. Okay. Let me go ahead and get a drink. Yeah. I'm sure by now everybody knows, and what we're on year. How many? Definitely a year. It's been a while. This thing's been going on for a while. Okay. First it was Crimea. Now it's Ukraine. You've got some people that are like, yes, give them whatever they need. We got others that are, just, what are you doing? There's a lot of back and forth on this. A lot of back and forth. And this is why, or at least we are seeing play out. I should put it that way. We're seeing play out how World War III is definitely upon us. It is. We're seeing the board divide. We're seeing the axis begin to unite. Russia, China, North Korea. We're seeing this play out in real time. That was my phone. Let me mute this thing because I apparently forgot to do that at the beginning of the show. Oopsie, my bad. But you're very much seeing the board separate. What I'm actually kind of concerned about is our standing. I got to be honest with you. I really am. I'm concerned about that. Okay? Because after what happened in Afghanistan, our pulling out, not having the backs of the people whom supported us over there, translators, what have you. It was messy. Okay, the pullout was messy. Who's going to support us? You know, you can only stab in the back so many people before they're like, okay, yeah, I'm done. You know, we have undermined Benjamin Netanyahu so many times, it's not even funny. You know, we have so many, you know, anti-Semitic people out there, Ilhan Omar being one of them that, yeah, you know, I mean, are they an ally? Are they not an ally? How is that going to play out? Can we depend on them? How can we depend on them whenever we have shown them that they can't depend on us? And we have shown every one of our allies that, especially under this administration, militarily speaking, that they can't. They can't depend on us. You know, they've been doing war games, you know, Russia, China, North Korea, you know, on how they were going to take over, which even still, you know, there's a gun behind every blade of grass. Absolutely. So many memes on that one. Oh man, there's so many memes out there on that one. It's not even funny. You know. But I'm not really talking even about a land invasion, you know, which I think World War III will be very unique in that one, is that I think there's a very good possibility that some of it's going to be fought here. But that's beside the point. But we're seeing it play out in real time. That's my point. We're seeing this play out in real time. You know, Vladimir Putin trying to take back and bring back the glory that once was Mother Russia. It's, you know, he's doing what he's doing for a reason. Yes, it is a land grab, but he's doing it for a reason. You're seeing, you know, China gearing up for an invasion into Taiwan. You're seeing North Korea just do all kinds of stuff. I mean, you know, they're testing intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs all the time. You know, you have, you know, Iraq that is on the verge of having nuclear weapons. I mean, it's only a matter of time. I wouldn't be surprised if they, in all honesty, do. You know, even if it's just something that was given to them by China. Hey, don't use this. Don't let anybody know you have it. However, if you need it, there you go. You know, China and Russia has been getting all buddy-buddy with Iraq. You know, I know Poland is very much, you know, they're very nervous about what's going on, because it's like, okay, you know, let's just say that he does end up taking Ukraine back. Is Putin going to stop there, or is he going to keep on going? That's the question. I mean, say what you want about the incompetency of, you know, how things have been playing out. I don't see him stopping. And neither does Poland. That's one of the reasons why they're wanting, you know, a greater military presence, a UN presence, a greater, you know, U.S. presence in Poland to stop an advancement once they get done with Ukraine. That's one of the things that Poland is very much afraid of. And just this week, I heard that there is now an arrest warrant issued for Putin over war crimes. How's that going to play out? I mean, really, what was the point of that? I mean, did they honestly think that issuing a warrant for the arrest of Vladimir Putin was going to actually change anything? Was it going to stop anything? Because it hasn't so far. I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to send UN officers and march them across the border and say, hey, you're under arrest? How's that going to play out? It was a level of, that was like a level of escalation. It was almost like, Obama, whenever he drew that line in the sand to Syria, don't cross that line or else. And then, Syria went and stepped over that line and they said, or else what? And well, nothing happened. I mean, is this going to be another nothing burger that just gets handed over to Putin in Russia? He puts in here, he goes, he is a true believer in the Soviet communist and likely wants to be the man to bring about the return of the USSR. Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. I mean, he's a former KGB operative. He is smart. He's intelligent. He's not a good man. And yeah, I very much believe that he is a true believer. But whenever I heard about that arrest warrant, I laughed. I'm like, what the heck was the point of that? Really, what was the point of that one? What did they actually think they were going to achieve on that one? Who's going to carry out that arrest warrant? How are they going to issue that? I mean, what in the world are they actually going to do? And what can they do? What type of response would Russia have if some type of covert exercise was done? I mean, isn't that just ridiculous? I mean, really, what was the point of that? I don't get that. Send Batman. That's funny. I'm Batman. Yes, send Batman can get something done, man. I mean, you're never outside of Batman's reach. That's what I learned in, which one was that? That was a second one. Yeah, that was the second one. Whenever Batman went to China and got the Chinese guy. Yeah. Or was it Japan or whatever? It doesn't matter. You get the point. You get the point. You get this headline out of CNN. North Korea claims that almost 800,000 people have signed up for its military to fight the U.S. That's a lot of people. The Axis and the Allies are, definitely, Dave puts in here, he goes, I hate it whenever I do that. Not to sidetrack you or anything, but I do find it interesting that all of these countries are run by men crap. Let me try that again. Not to sidetrack you or anything, but I do find it interesting that all of these countries are run by men. As you and I know, men can be wacky and emotionally unstable. Yeah. The idea to take over other countries that are neighbors by using force that harms the infrastructure and the people of the country you plan on taking over is a form of insanity. Absolutely. So therefore, I'm making a case for mental health. Citizens of all of these countries need to connect in ways we haven't connected before. Where is the Soviet Where is a Soviet ho-ho that feels the same way you do? I'm sure he'd like to hear from you. Okay. And that's the, you bring up a valid point there. After World War II, the powers that be felt that the best way to, ensure that there wouldn't be a repeat of World War II was to connect the economies of countries. Okay. This way, an attack of, if you attack one, you're basically attacking yourself. Okay. That's why the global market was established. And, that's why that was done, was to do their very best to ensure that there wouldn't be a World War III. And I'm sure in a lot of ways, they've basically, helped to where that wouldn't happen at least as quickly as, it could have been had our economies not been connected. And I know that I've mentioned this before. When it comes to the government of Russia, totally against it. When it comes to the government of Ukraine, I'm totally against it. No love whatsoever. However, when you're talking about the people of both countries, they're the true victims here. You have people that are being forced into a war that they didn't want to fight on the side of Russia. You're having, people that are just want to exercise sovereignty in Ukraine and don't want to be bothered by an army invading them. The hardships that they've been forced into. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people in both those countries that, on that level, in that way, that they don't want this. They don't want to be, that you got Russians there that don't want to be doing the things that they're doing, I'm sure. There's no doubt in my mind that they don't want to be doing this. The real victims on this is twofold on that one. And the sad thing is you're really not going to hear a lot about that because, they don't really want to. They don't get a lot of stuff that, it's kind of like with China. They don't really say, they don't let a lot of our media over there because, we might be anti, Chinese Communist Party. Same thing goes over there in Russia. I'm sure that they monitor and they, limit, communications, various YouTube channels, what have you. I'm sure they do. There's no doubt in my mind. It's hard for the word to get out is what I'm saying. Dave continues, goes, basically, I'm saying that if young Ho-Ho and Dave Canyon are friends who live next door to each other, or at least near each other, but their parents are not friends and are in fact at war with each other, then what's the likelihood that Dave and Ho-Ho will stay friends for much longer? Oh, okay. I'm getting what you're saying on there. It's kind of like the Hatfield and McCoy kind of a thing, You bring up an interesting point on that. But at the same time, I mean, we've seen post World War II, families on both sides that, immigrated to, Japan, Japanese and immigrated to the U.S., U.S. citizens and immigrated to Japan, and, fell in love with the culture. We've seen these type of things play out, and I really do hope, I hope that there's not a deep-rooted hatred for one another, the people of one another. I would really hope that wouldn't happen. I mean, is there that possibility? Sure. But I would hope that we wouldn't see that. That they understand, and I think a lot of them do understand that, hey, this is something they were forced into. They didn't want to do this. They don't want to be over there. A mutual respect, I guess, if nothing else. But I hope that what you're talking about on that, Dave, wouldn't happen. I don't know. But I would hope not. But things are definitely heating up, though. The chessboard is a moving. I ain't going to put any type of okay, it's scary, guys. I mean, like, it really is. I got to be honest with you. It's kind of scary on that aspect. I mean, it's just so many things are knocking on our door. And it's like, holy crap. They're in a race to get to our door, and there's a lot of different things that are there, and it's like, wow. It's reason to have pause. It's definitely reason to, maybe we should consider our next steps and be mindful of what's going on. Prepare for what could happen and hope that it doesn't. And that's the best advice I can give anybody. Be aware of what's going on. Globally, locally, nationally, what have you. Be aware of what's going on. Prepare for the worst. Hope for the best. Do right by you, your family, what have you. Prepare. A lot of things are knocking on our door. Things are, yeah. Dave puts in and goes, we have nothing against Russians, Ukrainians, Chinese. I don't even really know any of these people, but countries and their leaders, our countries and their leaders seems to have issues with each other, and it's preventing the countries from getting along, and it's totally ridiculous. And I completely agree. I'm assuming that was without the typo. Yes. Okay. I got you though. I picked up what you're throwing down. And, like I said, I completely agree with you. It is, it's, yeah. People I'm okay with, people I'm definitely okay with. I've not known a lot of Russians. I'm sure I've met some in my day. Talked to them, various people. It's definitely a shame of what's going on. I wish it wasn't. All right, guys, that's really all I got for you today. Another shorter episode. And I do thank you very much for, participating in the conversation, for joining me today. Awesome times, yeah, I'm glad you all's pay attention. I really do. I'm glad you all's are, I'm glad y'all's tune in. I hope y'all's well. I very much do. Spring is maybe upon us next week where I'm at anyway. Illinois, they kind of get, weather gets finicky. Summer, spring, back to winter, back to spring, back to winter. And right now this weekend, we're getting a little bit more winter. Hopefully that ends very, very quickly and we can get onto some awesome, awesome weather. So guys, that's all I got for you today. Y'all just have yourself a great one. Until next time. This has been The Ho Ho Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpickle.com. Until next time.